Okay, so I brought I made these, Dear Rich People, Nice Things, letters, because I feel like people are being, like, super extra to rich people, and it's like, clearly it's not all of them, duh. But, like, anyways, uh, I was gonna read out the letter because I haven't really had the opportunity to, like, hand them out. I was going to, but then, like, COVID hit, and it's like, it's a little weird to just, like, go door to door, or, you know, like, it's 2 years from now. It's 2 years now, but, people are still wearing masks. Buildings still want you to wear them, crowds and all of that, so I think I'll wait on that. I was waiting for an opportunity, but, I mean, nothing like the present, right? I'll just read it out and hopefully this helps some people out.
Plus, it gives me an opportunity to open up this really cute, what's it called? Like the stamp things? Wax seals. They're so pretty. And I made them, but I also want to open them because they're so formal looking. Yeah, that was a lot harder than I thought it'd be. And it didn't even rip. Just the paper. Anyways. Well, the envelope. Okay. I'm gonna read the note that I wrote. Dear rich person, I feel society has misjudged you in TV shows. You're typically the outsider. I'm truly sorry you had. Okay, that part doesn't make sense. I'm truly sorry you have to go through that. Some Christians and non-Christians have used the verse, "It is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven," to shame you. But that's not okay. It's a warning because Jesus loves you. With my pastor's help, I discovered that he gives a warning to the poor and the disadvantaged as well. In John chapter 5, verse 1 to 13. You might know this story. It's the story of Jesus restoring the sight of a blind man. Now he asks him, "Do you want to be well? Do you want to get well?" And that's an interesting question because it's like, why would Jesus ask a blind dude if he wants to see again? Well, the reason is because this blind man begs for a living, and you might think this is a little rude to say, but there are it's like, essentially, I guess, like being on government assistance. Some people genuinely need it, but imagine you're just given an opportunity to be able to work, and everything. I don't know how hard it was back then to find a job, but probably not as hard as it is now because the economy's all jacked up, but whatevs. But I don't know, But there is that thing inside of you, do you want to continue being a victim? Do you feel safe in that identity? Or because, say, you have the opportunity to change yourself, to, imagine, the victim, it's they're out of control, they're not in control, I should say, and they're I can't do anything about my situation, and this is very frustrating. But there's also a security, you're where you're supposed to be. You don't need to stress or worry. But if you take that, if you're no, I'm not going to be a victim, I'm going to find a way out of this situation, and if I can decide what to do with my life, that means I can change it for the better as well. And that's kind of what he's saying here. Do you want to get well? My pastor says it a lot better. But essentially, the poor get a warning similar to the eye of the camel warning as well. So they shouldn't be bullying you, just so you know. God doesn't hate rich people. The previous verse, the camel into heaven verse, was Matthew chapter 19 verse 24, and I thought you should know the eye of a needle was a marketplace. It's a really short story. Matthew chapter 19 verses 16 to 30. The gist of it is a man meets up with Jesus and wants to follow him like the apostles do. So Jesus tells him, go sell all your stuff, but he leaves because that's a lot of money to lose. And that's when Jesus says his verse. My interpretation is, you don't have to give away all your stuff to be right with God. We humans have a habit of turning to material possessions or superstition. You can be rich and righteous. It's simply more tempting to put your trust in money than God. Being blessed with money or power simply shows your true character, so there's less of a curve. When the chips are down, Jesus wants you to trust him, because some things are impossible for us, but all things are possible through God. The message of this story is, when you desperately want something out of your control, where are you putting your trust? In yourself? Money? Possessions? Or in God? I love you, and so does Jesus. Concerned citizen. Okay. Also, I want to talk to you. I'm adding this towards the end because I was reminded of this verse later on because, I read a chapter daily. We'll listen to it. Okay, that's not important. Luke 7, the faith of the centurion. I think it's an important story for you to hear because it also it's like direct proof that Jesus doesn't just hate all rich people or think all of you are gonna have a harder time, because I think it just kind of depends, because poor people can rely on material needs too, because they don't have any, so they might be like, oh, I would love more, all of that. So okay, when Jesus had finished saying all this to the people who were listening, he entered Capernaum. There a centurion's servant, whom his master valued highly. Okay, so right off the bat, they're saying that this guy cares about the people under him that are, serving him. Was sick and about to die. The centurion heard of Jesus and sent some elders of the Jews to him, asking him to come and heal his servant. When they came to Jesus, they pleaded earnestly with him, "This man deserves to have you do this, because he loves our nation and has built our synagogue." I think this also shows his character, because his servants are like, he's very, very good person. Please help him. And they're singing his praises and everything. And then later when you meet him, he's like, I don't deserve you to come into my house. Even that would be too much of an honor. So Jesus went with them. He was not far from the house when the centurion sent friends to say to him, "Lord, don't trouble yourself, for I do not deserve to have you come under my roof. This is why I did not even consider myself worthy to come to you. But say the word, and my servant will be healed. For I myself am a man under authority, with soldiers under me. I tell this one, go, and he goes, and that one, come, and he comes. I say to my servant, do this, and he does it." Okay, so this might come off sounding, that part might come off sounding a little weird, but it essentially what he's saying is, I understand what it's like to have authority, like how Jesus, when he was healing people, he wasn't saying please wake up and all of that. He was saying, get up and take up your bed. When he was talking with the paraplegic man, he would say stretch out your arm to the dude with a bum arm, or to wake up to the girl who was sleeping, to the dead girl, and he was like, she's just sleeping, she just needs to wake up. And he was like, just wake up, which is pretty cool, because when you have that authority, you can just say things. And so it's kind of like how they back then they called people they called women just woman,
but it wasn't like a rude thing. It was just kind of a very, this is what you are thing. When Jesus heard this, he was amazed at him, and turning to the crowd following him, he said, I tell you, I have not found such faith even in Israel. What I'm getting from this is essentially, you know how like in the military there's the chain of command and all of that. I think he's like recognizing Jesus in that same way. And he's like a Roman centurion, so it's definitely like a different like vibe than it is in Israel. And so the fact that he's like, I care about my servants and I believe in this God. I believe in this living God, I should say, because, but he also feels that like he doesn't deserve to see the face of the living God, so he doesn't know what he looks like. He doesn't know. He hasn't seen any of the miracles. He just kind of heard the gospel, I guess, and is like, servants, please go out and find this man so that he may heal him. And so the servants go and find him, and they're like, please help him. He's like super cool, and he loves his servants. And so Jesus is like, so you're a Roman centurion, yet there are people with not such faith in Israel. Because I think it's more of a compliment to him than it is a diss to others, because you know how like I think I forgot which one of the disciples it was, but he was like going onto the water to like meet Jesus because he saw him walking on it, and he was starting to sink, and Jesus was like, ye have little faith. Like I think he would say that like a lot, and so I think he was like stunned to see someone like that, and you're like thinking to yourself, doesn't Jesus know everything? But it's like, I don't know, I think he was just, you know, he is human, he was tested like everybody else, but I don't know, I think he was just happy to see someone with such faith, because, you know, he's probably dealing with a lot of people who are very unsure of themselves and unsure of their place in the world. They're doubting themselves, so they're doubting like this good thing that's happening to them. But like this man is like, I believe in you so strongly, I believe in authority so strongly, and I believe that you are that authority, and therefore my faith isn't being shaken. And I think that's pretty cool. So yeah, I think a lot of people in high positions kind of understand that authority thing. Like how it's like, oh, I gotta take care of my employees. If the business doesn't make money, they don't make money. And so there's like this constant stress, but like you also understand what it means to be an authority figure a little better. So this story might help you. Also, there's like a ton of YouTube videos that probably explain this differently. If you need like a different way of like understanding it, I really like it, and I really think you should look up this story and like listen to different people speaking about it. So yes, I very much think all the stories that I've talked about in this video you should like go and check out, because I'm kind of giving you the Cliff's version. Then the men who had been sent returned to the house and found the servant well. Plus, King David is referred to as a man after God's own heart. And yes, he made costly mistakes, and God still loved him. And, what else? He raised him. God's whole plan was for him to be king and everything. And that's how he got, Solomon and everything. And, I think it was the Queen of Sheba, another rich person, royalty, came up to hear, Solomon's wisdom, put her own pride behind and made sure she got the wisdom of God, and brought tons and tons of gifts for Solomon. There's this quote from Abraham Lincoln that I really like. Nearly all men can stand adversity, but if you want to test a man's character, give him power. Which I think is very, very important, because in all honesty, I feel like there's this like struggle Olympics going on when you invalidate someone else's experiences or troubles that they may have, then they may feel the need to like, well actually this too, and you know, it can kind of like balloon, and I think that's kind of what's happening in society, with people being like, but in all honesty, I feel like it's very important that people not only learn how to deal with struggles in a healthy manner, which is to make sure you don't see yourself as a victim. Like, you're allowed to like not like your circumstances, but to change them, you have to acknowledge that you can change them, which means there is something you can do, which means the best thing you can do is to stay busy and to focus on bettering yourself. Whatever, write down the steps, write down the problem, write down what you think the solution is, consult a therapist, consult a pastor, consult both. There's this book, How to Stop Worrying and Start Living, I think would help a lot, because it's helped me a lot, and I've read some of it, well, I've listened to some of it, and I think it has a lot of good advice. I just feel like it's very important to be able to handle success, because what would be the point in living if you can't handle good things happening to you? This is something I've been struggling with, because, you know, what was it? Like, I have this new job, and people are being nice to me, and it's very weird and off-putting, but I'm trying to, like, move past that and not let that get to me. And I feel like I've made a lot of improvements, because I think past me would have just bombed and then would have wanted a new job, so people wouldn't like see me at my lowest. So I'm really happy with the progress that I made, and now I have this new job. No, I'm not making the most money, but I'm also just starting out, and I really like the work, and I'm very happy. So I guess what I want to say is I love you. And Jesus has multiple times in the Bible. Oh, one of his disciples, Simon, used to be a Pharisee. Those people that he's always chastising and like telling them that they're not they're being fake, essentially. And he was like, Simon, come on. He told the Pharisee to come, and he did, and his name was Simon. So don't think that you're like too far in, because, you know, if you don't know, he was like, I think he was a Pharisee, but I know that he was one of those tax collectors, and like I think back then it was like known that they like charge you more so they could make more on the side or whatever. So don't think you're too far in anywhere. Jesus still loves you, no matter who you are. As long as you're alive and breathing, you can still change. Oh, and don't believe that no deathbed thing, because there's a parable that Jesus says where it's like one denarius. He's like, I think he was a shepherd. One shepherd or a farmer. I'm not sure. I'm just gonna say shepherd. He goes out and he finds workers at like the beginning of the day, and he's like, I'll give you one denarius if you get my field, if you like work my field. And so they do that, they agree. And then like around midday he goes out again and is like, I'll give you one denarius if you work my fields. And he's like, okay. And I think like an hour before the workday's over, he goes out again and is like, I'll give you one denarius if you work my fields. And the people are like, okay. And then the people at the beginning are like, well, that's unfair. I've been working all day, and this person's only been working an hour, and we get the same thing. And the shepherd's like, did you not agree to working one day for a denarius? It's none of your business who else I talk to, essentially. Who else I offer this to. Because, you know, back then it's like these people were looking for work, and it just so happens that it was at the end of the day that they were found. Plus, they were probably lost that whole time. Like, imagine you're like, oh, I need to find work, and all day you're stressed out. So, it's kind of like a parallel to people who were, like, born into Christian families and were Christian their whole life versus people who maybe found Jesus around college or after college. Or maybe, like, when they just first started having children and everything and are, like, a little older. Like, closer to middle age, maybe. And then there are the people who are, like, close to their deathbeds or on their deathbeds who are accepting Jesus, so. And, like, you probably, like, went through your life like, oh, I have no idea the meaning of life or what my purpose is or anything. And then you find it at the end of your life. So I think there's a trade-off there. A terrible one, if you ask me. It's never too late. I love you. Bye. And so does Jesus.